After being captured by a criminal gang, a girl discovers that her pet lizard is actually a robot that was developed by her father to protect her. Today we're going to recap the first season of the Iwaju series from 2024. A girl called Tola is riding her scooter through the streets of Lagos, Nigeria, when she is suddenly surrounded by 2 vehicles and 4 people come out of them to capture her. At that moment, Otim, the young woman's pet lizard, uses a device to produce a shield around her and goes out to confront the kidnappers. The reptile then uses the technology attached to its body to strike the humans and manages to get rid of 2 of them. When he realizes that his enemies are armed, Otim activates Ija mode to attack them. However, during the simulation, there is a problem with the robot's configuration and Tunda realizes that there is something wrong with his prototype. The engineer's goal is to use technology to protect people, as he knows that his country is becoming increasingly dangerous. The truth is that Tola is his daughter and, thanks to Tunda's work, the girl has the opportunity to live comfortably in a mansion on an island paradise. In the morning, she is woken up by Rashidat, an android nanny, and gets ready to welcome Tunda, who will be arriving soon. After preparing some cupcakes to celebrate her 10th birthday, Tola convinces Mr. G to let her go with him to the airport. On the way, the pair end up stuck in traffic and the young woman is saddened to think that she will be late to pick up her father, but G has a card up his sleeve and manages to fly his car over the bridge. Even during the flight, the pair are approached by street vendors who use drones to deliver their goods. Minutes later, she arrives at the airport and meets her father, who is disturbed to realize that the girl is walking through the airport alone. After lecturing his daughter, Tunda accompanies her to her car without even realizing that he is being watched by a man who was waiting for him at the airport. Soon after, Body and his partner, Happiness, get into a cab to follow the engineer. On the way home, Tunda turns on the radio and hears a journalist announcing the disappearance of another child who has been captured. At that moment, Tola understands why her father doesn't want her walking around alone and promises that she won't do it again. When she gets home, the girl shows him that she has prepared a feast, but Tunda is talking on the phone and doesn't even see the cupcakes his daughter has baked. Seeing Tunda coming up the stairs, Tola picks up her plate and goes after him, only to discover that her father won't be able to celebrate her birthday that night because he has urgent work matters to attend to. Frustrated, Tola walks to the garden where she spots Cole and runs to talk to him. The girl is extremely happy to realize that her friend has remembered her birthday and offers to help him with his work, as she doesn't want to be alone all day. Meanwhile, Tunda continues to work on the Ija project, but has not yet managed to get Otim to transform completely. That afternoon, he receives a call from his boss, who rushes him to finish the experiment as soon as possible. Mrs. Usman advises the engineer to test the prototype before presenting it to the committee, so Tunda decides to give Otim to his daughter, as he knows that Tola has always wanted a pet. Even though she is frustrated at getting a lizard instead of a dog, Tola thanks her father for the present and learns that she will have to take care of it. As a child, Body and his mother worked in a family home and were kicked out because the boy was caught stealing money. He has always considered it unfair that few people in his country are rich while the majority of the population is sunk in poverty. Then, when he became an adult, Body began to make a living by extorting money from the wealthy and sharing a small part of it with his collaborators. The strategy he uses most often is to kidnap the children of wealthy families and demand a large sum of money for ransom. After successfully completing his last mission, Body sets his sights on his next target, Tola. Feeling very lonely, the girl ended up forming a strong friendship with Cole and spends most of her time with him. The 2 youngsters are having fun and dancing together when the boy receives a call from Happiness, but decides not to answer it. Before saying goodbye to her friend, Tola invites him to join her for dinner that evening, as she knows her father will be working late as usual. When he discovers that Tunda is an employee of the largest technology company in Nigeria, Body becomes even more interested in capturing Tola, because as well as money he will also have access to a large list of billionaires. At the end of the evening, Cole and Tola are having dinner together when the young woman asks why her friend stops going to school to work. Just then, Tunda appears and is furious to see one of his employees sitting at the table with his daughter. Immediately, Tola speaks up to defend her friend, but her father believes that Cole is just taking advantage of the girl's kindness. Furious, Tunda orders the boy back to work and, after lecturing his daughter, tells her to go back to her room. That night, when he is at the bus stop, Cole and the other passengers face a heavy storm. Minutes later, the bus shows up, but the boy discovers that the fare has doubled, just because it's raining. Without enough money to pay the collector, Cole has to walk home, at which point he receives a call from Body, who says he needs to talk to him. The boy met Body through his mother, who tried to borrow money from the criminal to invest in Cole's studies. Ever since he was a child, the young man dreamed of becoming a doctor, but Body wanted to recruit him to work with him and his mother wouldn't allow Cole to do so. Over time, however, the boy's mother became very ill and he had to start working to look after her. The little money Cole manages to earn from his work is 100% used to buy food and pay off the loan his mother took out with Body. That night, the young man receives a summons and has to go to the criminal's apartment. He believes the man is planning to collect that month's payment in advance and hands him all the money he had saved. However, Body says that the boy has until the end of the month to make the payment and reveals that he requested his presence for another reason. Knowing that the boy works in Mr. Tunda's mansion, Body orders Cole to help him capture Tola. Without understanding the reason for this request, Cole asks what the man intends to do with her and learns that the girl will be used as a hostage so that Body can ask her father for a reward. Seeing that Cole is unwilling to hand over his friend, the criminal promises that if the boy does, he will pay for all his mother's medical expenses. Knowing that his mother could perish if she doesn't receive the necessary care, the boy decides to help Body fulfill his evil plan. One of Tola's biggest dreams is to visit the continent, so Cole offers to accompany her on this trip and they both deceive Mr. G, saying that Tunda has authorized the tour. As Optim is under her care, the girl decides to take him too, and when the pair get out of the vehicle, the lizard goes after them to keep an eye on Tola. It's the young woman's first time there, so Cole has the mission of introducing her to that part of the city. So the boy asks for a cab to take them to the fair, but what the boy doesn't realize is that Oten is right behind them. When she gets off the vehicle, Tola is approached by numerous street vendors who will do anything to sell their wares. Even though she's lost in the middle of the mess, the young woman is enchanted by this new experience, which is completely different from anything she's ever had. While sampling some street food, Tola sees a group of hungry children and decides to feed them. After a long walk through the fair, the pair decide to stop for lunch at a restaurant and Tola confesses to her friend that she is very happy because this is the best day of her life. The girl then thanks Cole for giving her this experience and says that he is an excellent friend. Upon hearing this, the boy is saddened, as he knows he is about to give Tola away. While talking to the girl, Cole bitterly regrets the decision he made and says that they need to get out of there. Not understanding the reason for his friend's despair, Tola accompanies him back to the car, but on the way there, they are both approached by one of Body's employees. Seeing him, Cole tries to protect the girl, and Otim, who has been watching them the whole time, decides to take action. At this point, the robot's battery runs out and it sends a warning signal to Tunda's computer before completely shutting down. Meanwhile, Cole tries to hold Sunday back and asks Tola to run away, but the young woman refuses to leave her friend behind. However, when she realizes that she will end up being taken away if she stays there, the girl runs in the opposite direction and, soon after, Cole goes after her. Arriving at an end, Tola spots a woman and decides to ask for help, without even imagining that she is Happiness, Body's right-hand woman. At a young age, Tunda was already a great robotics genius and, even though he lived on the mainland and had few resources, he was already able to put his genius into practice. After leaving university, the engineer created a device that allowed him to make great leaps. His great dream had always been to become rich and successful in his work, so he never spared any effort to be hired as an employee of Greenwood Tech. When he got there for his job interview, Tunda was interviewed by Mrs. Usman and, after showing her some of his inventions, he was hired. After receiving Odim's signal, the man starts looking for his daughter through the security cameras and discovers that she is not at home. He immediately calls Mr. G and despairs when he discovers that Tola is lost on the mainland. Minutes later, Tunda receives a video call and sees his daughter. Then a hologram sent by Body invades his computer screen and the engineer discovers that the girl has been kidnapped. To get her back, he'll have to fork out a sum of 50 million in the next 2 hours. While stuck in her cell, Tola tries to calm down and hopes that Cole is okay. Just then, Happiness appears and takes the young woman to meet her boss. After introducing herself, she asks about her friend and Body says that the girl needs to be more careful with her friendships. Luckily, the boy manages to escape Sunday's clutches and returns to the vehicle. When he meets G, Cole tells him what happened and asks for the driver's help to save his mother, as he knows that Body will try to hurt her to punish the boy. Meanwhile, Otim remains in the same place and ends up being found by a child. When the girl picks up the lizard, it manages to attach itself to her watch and charges a small part of its battery. After getting his mother out of the house, Cole spots Sunday and asks G to take the woman to safety while he distracts his enemy. In an attempt to find out who captured his daughter, Tunda draws the hologram he saw on his computer and travels to the mainland himself. When he gets there, he meets up with an old friend he hasn't seen for 30 years, who now works for the police. When he realizes that Tunda has only come to him because he needs help, the man refuses to take part in the investigation and leaves. 2 hours later, Tunda has already gotten the ransom money and is just waiting for the kidnapper to call. What he doesn't know is that Body has learned that he went to the police and is now demanding 250 million in exchange for the girl. Desperate, Tunda explains that he doesn't have access to that money, but Body knows that he owns shares in the company where he works and says that the man has just 1 hour to hand it over to him, otherwise Tola will be eliminated. At that moment, Tunda receives a signal from O-Team and goes after him. Meanwhile, Cole is at the dump trying to hide from Sunday, but ends up being found by him. When the boy is about to be eliminated, the lizard appears and starts a battle against Sunday, who tries to eliminate him with his whip. After producing a blast of energy capable of hurling his opponent away, O-Team approaches Cole and asks where Tola is. The truth is that the reptile is a robot with artificial intelligence created by Tunda and designed to protect its guardian. During the simulations, O-Team was able to learn a little about how the human world works and what he needs to do to protect Tola. But now that the girl has been kidnapped, the lizard is lost and doesn't know where to start his mission. After meeting Cole, the robot tries to find out where Tola is, but the boy claims that Sunday is the only one who has this information. At the sight of Optum, the man flees in despair and abandons his mission to capture Cole. Now his priority is to save his own life, because he has seen what that animal can do. While being chased, Sunday gets into a flying car, but O-Team uses his tongue to infiltrate the vehicle. Soon after, Tunda shows up looking for O-Team and Cole says that the lizard has gone after the guys who kidnapped Tola. With a guilty conscience, the boy decides to confess that he helped Body capture his friend, but says that he will help Tunda find her. When he arrives at his boss's hideout, Sunday tells him what happened and so far he doesn't suspect that O-Team has followed him. Overhearing the criminal's conversation, Tola discovers that the boy she considered her best friend betrayed her and was responsible for turning her in. When Tola is taken back to her room, O-Team sneaks up on her and decides to introduce himself. When she hears the lizard talking, the young girl can't help but be startled and lets out a scream. Immediately, Happiness goes in to check what's going on and the girl says she saw a rat passing by. When the woman leaves, O-Team appears again. He only has 4% battery left, but he can still communicate with Tola. The animal reveals that it needs to enter Ija mode to save her, but this function cannot be activated until the lizard is recharged. Using the tracker attached to the robot, Tunda manages to find the place where his daughter was taken. The problem is that there are many criminals inside and Tunda knows he won't be able to defeat them all by himself. Luckily, Cole has a card up his sleeve. The boy's mother always advised him to take notes whenever he was around important people, as this would help him achieve his goals. Therefore, every time he approached Body, the boy left his cell phone recorder on and, thanks to this, he was able to gather evidence to incriminate him. That night, Cole calls the criminal and shows him the recording she made of their last conversation. Tunda then orders Body to return his daughter, otherwise the recordings will be released and handed over to the police. Furious, the criminal hangs up the phone and blames Sunday for causing this situation, because not only did he fail to capture Cole, but he was also followed. After turning on the security cameras and seeing that the pair are outside, Body calls Tunda again and distracts him while his men go there to capture him. At that moment, Cole is taken to the same room where Tola is while Tunda is sent to another cell. When he sees the girl, Cole apologizes for having betrayed her and reveals that he did it to save his mother, who was ill. However, Tola doesn't accept his apology and says that Cole had the choice not to hand her friend over to the criminals, but still decided to lead her into a trap. While trying to explain himself, Cole reveals that poor people like him have to fight for their lives every day and that's what he was doing when he made the difficult decision to betray Tola. At that moment, O-Team approaches the boy and he soon realizes that the robot is almost out of battery. Outside the room, Tunda is tied to a chair and Happiness is trying to convince her boss that he's overstepping his bounds. Minutes later, one of Body's henchmen arrives with the bag of money that was in the car. Now that the criminal has what he wants, Tunda asks him to release them, but Body has other plans for him. The man wants a complete list of Greenwood Tech's employees and clients, but Tunda says that this is impossible, because in order to access this information he would have to hack into the company's security system via his computer. So Body decides to go to the engineer's house and takes Tunda prisoner. When they are warned about the invasion, Mr. G and Cole's mother go into hiding. Through the door, they see that Cole and Tola are also being held hostage. While Body accompanies Tunda to his office, the children are trapped inside Tola's room and Cole tries to think of a way to get them out. The boy knows that he has to find a way to recharge the robot so that it can activate Ija mode, but to do so he has to get the charger from the office. Then Tola starts crying and distracts the criminals who are guarding the door. After the girl is taken to her father, Cole has the chance to go out and look for a source of energy. Meanwhile, his mother and G are hiding in the car and try to contact the police, but all the police stations are closed, so they decide to go it alone. When she arrives at her father's office, Tola stops crying and waits for an opportunity to pick up the charger. She then leaves the office on the pretext that she needs to go to the toilet. Just then, Cole is hiding in the kitchen and is surprised by Sunday's arrival. At the sight of the henchman, the boy throws some fruit in his direction, but Sunday manages to dodge the attack. The boy is about to be hit with a toaster when Tola appears on her flying skateboard and distracts the criminal. When Sunday takes up his electric whip to eliminate her, Cole throws some ice stones on the ground to make him slip. When he is hit by a jet of water, the man ends up being electrocuted and faints. After getting rid of the enemy, the two friends team up to try and recharge Otim. During the process, Tola goes out to get a pair of communicator glasses and manages to get in touch with Mrs. Usman. Upon returning to the mansion, the young woman is surrounded by Happiness, who tries to capture the girl. However, before the woman can catch her, Otim appears and is finally able to activate Ija mode. Before the battle begins, the woman activates a mechanical arm to help her during the duel and runs towards the lizard. However, within the first few minutes of the fight, Happiness realizes that she won't be able to defeat him alone and asks for the help of Body's other henchmen. When the men appear, Otim orders Tola to hide and the girl runs back to the office, where she finds her father being attacked. The engineer did his best to hack into Greenwood Tech's system, but failed in his mission. Frightened, Tola asks why Body extorts money from people and manages to record a confession from the criminal. With Ms. Usman's help, this video is shared on the media and everyone in Lagos has the chance to watch it. Within seconds, police cars are sent to the scene and Body tries to escape, but is surrounded by Otim, who uses a power grid to trap him. After the criminals are sent to prison, Cole reunites with his mother and Tola asks her father for forgiveness for having gone to the mainland without his permission. The young woman then goes to apologize to the driver for deceiving him and Mr. G says that the girl is forgiven. Finally, Tola makes up with Cole and Tunda says he will help the boy fulfill his dream of studying medicine. So what did you think of this series? Leave it in the comments below. And if you like the video, like and subscribe for more series recaps. See you next time.